Okay, we are going over the Chapter 8 quiz review. In the first couple questions, it's asking you to write the first 4 terms of the sequence. So basically, you just plug in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So to get the first term, you do -3 times 1, which is -3. To get the next term, you do -3 times 2, which is -6. -3 times 3 is -9. And -3 times 4 is -12. And you can use this keyboard if you want. There's not really any numbers here, but basically this is just a number entry. It's a mathematical number entry just so that it recognizes these as numbers and not text. In this one, you will do 2 to the first, 2 squared, 2 to the third, and 2 to the fourth. So do those in your calculator if you need to, or in your head. 2 to the first is 2, 2 squared is 4, 2 to the third is 8, and 2 to the fourth is 16. This sequence is a recursive rule. It says your first term is 5. So your first blank is going to be 5. Then what this is saying is a sub n minus 1 means your previous term. So previous term minus 2. So basically what it's saying is the pattern is minus 2. So 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 2 would give us 1. And 1 minus 2 would give us -1. So 3, 1, -1. So this recursive rule, it's pretty easy to write the first 4 terms because you just start with 5 and then the pattern is -2, so keep that pattern going. Tell whether the sequence is arithmetic, geometric, or neither. Remember, arithmetic is adding or subtracting, so repeated addition or subtraction. Geometric is multiplication or division, and then neither would be one that doesn't fit either of those. So in the first one, I see that they're all negative. I always try adding first. So if you need to, do the second term minus the first term. So if I do in my calculator -14 minus -8, I get -6. So then I try. -8 minus 6 is -14. -14 minus 6 is -20. -20 minus 6 is -26. That is repeated addition, so it's arithmetic. The next one, 3, 4, 6, 9, 13. It looks like it's +1, +2, +3, then +4. If I try to do multiplication, that definitely is not working. That is a neither. Number 3, because it's switching from positive to negative to positive to negative, that tells me that it's probably multiplying by a negative number. So how do you get from 2 to -6? You'd multiply by -3. -6 times -3 is +18. +18 times -3 is -54. That is repeated multiplication. That is a geometric sequence. Write the rule for the nth term, then find a 12th, this 12th term. So to get from 5 to 11 to 17 to 23. Your first step here is to decide, is this an arithmetic sequence or a geometric sequence? So see if it's adding. This would be +6. Is this one also +6? It is. It is. So this is an arithmetic sequence, and our common difference is 6. So if we're going to write a rule for the nth term, we need to do, the formula is our first term plus n minus 1 times our common difference. So our first term is 5. Our common difference is 6. Distribute that common difference. So we have 5 plus 6n minus 6. And then combine your like terms. So our rule should be 6n minus 1. Once we have that rule, to find the 12th term, you simply plug in 12. So 6 times 12 minus 1, and I'll use my handy-dandy calculator for that. My calculator says that it is 71. Again, write a rule for the nth term. This time I'll bet it's geometric. To go from 84 to 42, down to 21, down to 10.5, this looks like divided by 2. And remember, divided by 2 is the same as times 1/2. You're taking half each time. If you're struggling to find what it is, remember you can take the second term divided by the first term and simplify that, and that will give you 1/2. Now on here, it will accept 1/2. It will also accept 0.5. A geometric sequence, the formula is first term times your common ratio raised to the n minus 1. So we want to do our first term, 84, times our common ratio, that'd be this number, 1/2, raised to the n minus 1. And it is helpful to put that 1/2 in parentheses. Not necessary, but helpful. It just makes it look nicer. So 84, and then I'm going to do parentheses, and then inside the parentheses, I'm going to put a fraction and do 1/2. And then outside of the parentheses, I will raise it to the n minus 1. Make sure that your minus 1 is up in that exponent, and you're good to go. Your 12th term, you would plug 12 in. Now, what I've found is if you're using a scientific calculator and you type in 84 times 1 and then your ABC button 2 and then raise it to the 11th, it's going to give you a fraction, and I believe that fraction is like 21 over 5. I'll find out in a second. If you just do this in your calculator with 1 divided by 2 or 0.5, it's going to give you a decimal. The important thing is remember that you have to either put parentheses around your 12 minus 1 or just do 12 minus 1 in your head to get 11 and then raise it to the 11th. If you get a decimal, it's 0.041 and it keeps going. If you get a fraction, it is 21 over 512. The cool thing about this being a number entry is that it will accept either of those. So I can put in fraction 21 over 512, or I can enter 0.041. Quite frankly, I can just type in 0.041 without the 0 in front. It will accept that all as correct. One term of an arithmetic sequence is, the 20th term is 40. Find the common difference is -5. What, write a rule for the nth term. Okay, it says common difference, so we are talking about an arithmetic sequence. That's the formula for an arithmetic sequence. We're going to use 40 in place of a sub n. We don't know our first term. Because we used 40, we're going to use an n value of 20 because 40 was the 20th term. And our common difference is -5. 20 minus 1 is 19, and 19 times -5 is -95. So we have a sub 1 minus 95 equals 40. We would add 95 on both sides to get 135. Our first term is 135. Now, that is our first term. That's not a rule for the nth term. We now need to write the nth term is the first term plus n minus 1 times our common difference of -5. Now, here's the kicker. If you type it in like this, it's going to count it as wrong. You need to write the simplified rule for the nth term. So you do need to distribute and then combine like terms. Our final answer is -5n plus 140. So when you type this in here, we have -5n plus 140. If you try to type in this version, that's not what I wanted to do, computer. If you try to type in this version, it will count it as wrong. You definitely need this version as your final answer. So make sure that you are distributing and simplifying to get that final answer. The next one is the same type of a problem, but this time with geometric sequences. So our formula is first term times our common ratio raised to the n minus 1. We know that the 9th term is -512. We know that our common ratio is 2, and that was the 9th term, so you do 9 minus 1. 2 raised to the 8th is 256. So we divide both sides by 256, and we get -2. Now this is our first term. We need to go back to that formula and plug in what we now know. So our nth term is our first term times our common ratio raised to the n minus 1. In here, you can put parentheses in if you want to. -2 times 2 raised to the n minus 1. Okay, I clicked check answer just to make sure that the way I wrote that was good, and it was. I want to go back to that question. Which one was that? That was question 8. I'm going to try to clear this out, and I'm going to check just a different way of doing this. So if you wanted to use parentheses instead, you could do -2 parentheses 2, and then outside of the parentheses raised to the n minus 1. And I believe it will check that as correct as well. Let's do our check answer button and find out. Yes, that counts it as correct as well. So you can enter this using the times button or parentheses. Either way, it will count both as correct. Okay, write a recursive rule for the sequence. First, we have to figure out what the heck is happening. It looks like it's dividing by 2. And remember, dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. The recursive rules, you may want to look back at our notes. The first thing you have to do is mark in what is your first term. Our first term is 512. When it's multiplying, they want the number you're multiplying by first. And then to make sure that you know that this is a multiplication rule and not an addition rule, drag that times symbol in. And then this symbol that means the previous term. So half of the previous term. Let's go to the next one. We definitely know our first term is 9, so I can at least get that part correct. It looks like we're adding 10 each time. When we're adding 10, you can put plus 10 after that symbol that means previous term. So if you're adding, you can do previous term plus. If you are multiplying, you need to do, hey, go away. You need to do whatever you're multiplying by times the previous term. So if you're adding, it can come after. If you're multiplying, it must come before. So make sure you see that with number 9 and number 10. The correct way to do this, if you're multiplying, put the number that you're multiplying in front of a sub n minus 1. If you are adding or subtracting, you need to put that after the a sub n minus 1. Ruh-roh. Anytime I don't get 100%, it makes me think there must be something wrong with the review, and there is. So number 5, there's apparently extra blanks that we couldn't see. I will go in and make sure that those aren't there and get it fixed, because I don't really know what's going on with that one, but I will make sure that number 5 gets fixed, and I'll make sure that that problem doesn't occur on the quiz, because you know that would be bad. So I'll make sure that everything's all good to go. So ignore that. If you got all of the answers that I got on this video, you should be absolutely good to go.